used to get a countdown.
Yeah.
We're live. All right. Yes. Awesome. Man, I was just thinking, welcome to the Hangout. Welcome to this special Hangout with Greg Kuhn. I'm Trisha Barnes, and Greg and I have done this. This is our third time. Every time we get together to talk about stuff, more how would I say that? More doors are open, or more understanding is revealed. And I'm excited for today. We've got a group that's studying the book Grow a Greater You. If you don't have that book, this is it. We're studying the book, and we get together every morning on a call. It's a mastermind group. We read it, we study it, we discuss it, and we're right in the midst of playing Grow a Greater You. We just got started last weekend, and I tell you what, there's already testimonies of things changing, and that's exciting to me. And
Yeah.
so many people have expressed, Greg, gratitude for this book and for what you are teaching us. And man, we're just, I can't say enough about it. The transformations that I am witnessing in my own life, but also in the lives of other people as they share what is happening, just in a matter of a few days. It seems miraculous, and yet we know what is happening through the study of what you have taught us about quantum physics and the law of attraction, and why we were stuck for so long. So thank you from everyone on the call. I want to remind you guys that we will do some question and answers. So if the box is open up over there on the side, I've never used that feature before, so I'm just assuming it's just going to work just fine. So if you have questions to ask as you listen, and as things come up as you're listening, then type them in the box, and we'll keep track of those and try to get to all of them. But Greg, I'm going to give the floor to you because, you told me the other day that it made me think about this, and this is how I posted it on Facebook. What happens when you've manifested everything that you desired? What happens? Most of us are still back here working on strikeout desires and ground rule doubles, and we're not where you are, where you have everything, or so it seems, right? And you shared with me, oh my gosh, there's more. And I think that's one of the most exciting things, to realize that, we think that this, whatever it is, that big desire that we have, we think that once we get there, that's it. And I'm excited to hear from you. What's next? What's next? And we've been reading your story. We've been going through the chapter on reading it's like your biography. And I tell you what, that people have been really moved by the how genuine and how transparent you are about your feelings during that whole pit of hell that you went through. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to you because I'm excited to hear what's next for you and what's going on, with playing Grow a Greater You for the rest of your life.
You got me a little choked up, Trisha. I be honest with you, and here's a I'm announcing it. I'm breaking the news on the Naked Hippies road trip. Okay, so you are a breaking news source right now. My new book is I think this is going to be so much fun, and I have a knowing it's going to be so valuable too. That's a great question. What do we do when we get to the top? So the answer is our desires keep growing. And I realized this past weekend that my desires had grown to the point that I couldn't ignore the pain of their absence anymore. You know, um, I, it's true. I achieved my home run. I have achieved my home run desire in many areas of my life. And one of them, because you're reading my story, you know that one of those home run desires was financial abundance, or has been financial abundance. And I have had so much wonderful success with my books, and I'm very grateful for that. Well, I have a desire that what I'm doing, what I'm sharing, what I'm channeling will grow into, and I want to be very specific about this, and I hope people listening to the call or watching this video will appreciate that the more specific that we get, the more specific I get about my desire, there's a number of benefits for that. So my current home run desire, well, my current desire that I'm going to grow my beliefs into is that I manifest a business that has a net personal take-home income of 6 figures. And I want to be very specific about that desire in stating it. I've taken great care to state it very specifically for a number of reasons. I'm choosing the financial reflection as something to grow my beliefs into, and also a way to measure the value of what I'm creating. And I do want to put a plug in for speaking the desire aloud and being very specific. And I want to acknowledge that in sharing a desire like that, there's a sense of question, of shame, of am I allowed to have that desire? Am I allowed to manifest that desire? Am I allowed to grow myself into, or my beliefs into, that desire? And here's what I'm doing. So I'm taking that desire and I'm writing again. I'm going through the emotional reference chart. I sat down and I wrote how I really feel about that desire right now. I identified myself on the chart, and I'm writing and moving up gradually. And every step of the way, I'm chronicling uh, awarenesses and discoveries and changes, and really keeping a very accurate and thorough record of every step of the way. And at the end of that journey, um, I know what awaits me at the end of the journey. I have no idea how, when, why, all those sorts of things. And I still have a great deal of worry and nervousness about many aspects of it, because worry and nervousness happens to be where I am right now on the emotional reference chart. So that's good that I have those feelings. When I'm done, uh, whatever that means, I'm going to have a book that so thoroughly allows people to walk through this process with me, and talks about results every step of the way in very measurable, quantifiable ways. I believe when I get through, I'm going to have an incredibly powerful piece of literature that will be of immense value. One thing I can tell you for sure is that this journey so far has been of immense value to me. And that is a gift in and of itself. I don't know. I do know typically how this works for us, right? And my journey to become willing to acknowledge that my desires had outgrown my beliefs. It was a slow journey. It wasn't. Looking back on it now and writing about it, I can see, remember when those painful awarenesses began to emerge and how easy they were to ignore or poo-poo or say, wow, no, I knew that desire was there for a six-figure business, and I lied to myself about the pain that the absence of the desire was fostering. It wasn't until I was gifted with some awareness that was shared with me about how I had begun to shrink away from things that required me to be fully present, to be alive in the moment, in ways that I had become accustomed to, in the ways that the people who love and care about me had become accustomed to seeing me do, ways to take care of myself and to be alive. I began to turn my back on some of those things and it almost act as if they weren't necessary. And in the end, it wasn't a cockiness or a bravado. It was, I finally reached a point where I couldn't distract myself from the undesirable feelings. I couldn't deny the undesirable feelings. I couldn't stuff the undesirable feelings. And eventually, I'm left with, as I am familiar with, I'm left with this an option of taking myself out of life in subtle ways so that I don't have to encounter things that cause me to feel. And thank goodness, my wife loves me enough and cares about me enough to say, hey, Greg, here's what I'm noticing. And when she said that, I said, my gosh, you're right. And a light bulb went off and I said, I know exactly what's happening. Wow. Well, okay, this is scary as hell. It's incredibly painful. I would prefer that it not be occurring and I don't like it. And at the same time, this is awesome, because I'm not expecting myself to have the perspective of the top of the emotional reference chart right now, right? And if I try to imagine that perspective, all that happens is I get more scared because of how impossible it seems, because of how incredible it seems, because of how there doesn't seem to be any way I can imagine that it will happen. And really what it comes down to is I just can't imagine being worthy of that. I just can't imagine being worthy of that. And as I write, and this is day 4. This is day 4. So yesterday was worry and nervousness. And these beautiful awarenesses I'm being gifted with. One of the things that is really coming home for me is that the joy, the gifts are in the journey. The gifts are right now. The gifts are I'm receiving the gifts right now. When alignment occurs in a way that my desire is manifest in accord or very close to, my ultimate desire for a business income, that's simply a reflection, right? And I don't know anyone who has to work really hard to have a reflection. I mean, a reflection just happens, right? I guess vampires maybe have to work hard to have a reflection, but no, and this journey teaches me again how simple reflections are. You know, I see reflections of my current beliefs about this particular desire all around me. And they're not just related to money, but all around me in regards to abundance and opportunity and potential and possibility, meaning and value. Um, I can give you some examples of some of the things that I have noticed. Uh, but I will say that one of the ways that I reassure myself is knowing that not only do I not need to figure out how my beliefs will be reflected back to me, that's not even my job. You know, when I walk into my bathroom, I don't worry if when we're done with this hangout and I walk in to wash my hands, before I go into the bathroom, we've got this big giant mirror, you know. I don't worry before I walk in, oh my gosh, is there going to be a reflection there in the mirror? Oh my gosh, how am I going to create that reflection? And this, you know, our material experiences work the same way. Uh, and one of the things, if you don't mind me sharing this, that I have realized is that the pain, the pain of our absent desires is actually the pain of being unworthy of them. And we are unworthy of them until we become worthy of them, right? So of course we yearn for these desires because they're so alluring for that very reason. The reason those desires never go away is that we inherently know that to achieve that desire will mean we're worthy of that desire. And it's not the desire, believe it or not, it's not the six-figure net personal income that I truly desire. What I truly desire is being worthy of that. And I really, really want to manifest it because, and here's the Newtonian paradigm, okay? The Newtonian paradigm says, Greg, if you can create that or achieve that, then you will be worthy of that, right? Now that's not incredibly incorrect, but the quantum paradigm simply rearranges it into the proper sequence for us. It says, Greg, when you are worthy of that, then you will create that. And that's a wonderful knowing to have, is that of course we want to be worthy of those things. Making ourselves worthy of our desires, that's the journey we take when we play Grow a Greater You, right? We don't, and now it's kind of funny, when we become worthy of the desire by growing our beliefs about ourselves, we don't actually need the desire anymore because we got what we really wanted, right? We wanted what having the thing would provide us. But instead, we tricked the Newtonian paradigms. Instead of going after the thing to get the worthiness, we went after the worthiness. And when we get to the top, I don't like to say that when we get to the top, we don't want the thing anymore. We do. I mean, of course, we still want the things we want. What does happen, though, is we don't need the thing anymore. The thing or experience merely becomes a reflection that we expect, a reflection that doesn't surprise us, a reflection that we're grateful for, yet we don't say, oh, thank you for throwing me a crumb from the table, because this is, reflections are just, they're how things work, right? So Here is the solution. Here, the journey of becoming worthy of anything. Are we allowed to desire something as audacious as a healthy body that we feel good about? Well, are we allowed to desire that? I will tell you this, it's true. You know, people will chide us sometimes and say, don't be shallow, don't be greedy. How dare you desire money and health and fitness and romance and relationships and nice cars and houses when there's so much suffering around the world? And I see the point. How dare we desire that when we could be doing other things? But I'll say this, I'll never apologize for desiring to be worthy of something like that. And ultimately, that's what the desires are, in a sense, tricking us into doing, is becoming worthy. Now, most of us, when we encounter this information, we've spent our lives trying to get the thing so we can feel worthy. Well, you can never have the thing until you feel worthy, because the thing is a reflection, right? And we look at all these other people who seem to have that thing, and they don't appear to be as nice as us. They don't appear to be as kind as us. They don't appear to be as thoughtful as us. They don't appear to deserve it like we do. Well, those things have nothing to do with deserving, unless deserving has something to do with how worthy we believe ourselves to be. So we see all these other people with those things, and we spend our lives wondering, what the heck? What is so wrong with me? Why won't the giver of gifts allow me to enjoy that too? I want that so badly. I want that healthy body so badly. I want the fit body so badly. I want the money in the bank so I don't have to worry about where money's going to come from so badly. I want to be able to pay for things and get out of debt so badly. All these different things that we want. I want a soulmate so badly. What's so wrong with me? There's nothing wrong. And there's nothing wrong with wanting those things. But we spend our whole life wanting to have them so we can feel worthy, right? And now we know the secret is simply being honest. Simply being honest. And you know what? You know what? Being honest, all it requires is simply saying to myself, you know what? This really is the reflection that I'm experiencing right now. You know? And as I've continued to write about my current desire that I'm growing my beliefs into alignment with, I'm realizing all sorts of things. I worry that I'm actually not really ever going to be worthy of it. And it pisses me off that I even have the desire in the first place, in a manner of speaking. That has come out in my writing. Because I know how to distract myself. I know how to change how I feel. I know how to do something that allows me to not feel at all. I can do that. Isn't that a lot easier than taking a risk and actually exposing myself? What if I find out that the fear is really warranted? What if I find out that these things that I've been told are lies really aren't? What if I find out that I'm really not worthy? That kind of fear, I'd almost rather do anything than find that out. Well, the good news is, of course, the only thing I have to do, the only thing you have to do, the only thing anyone has to do is keep drilling into honesty. Keep going deeper. Keep daring to acknowledge the reflection. One thing I noticed, a red light, here's a red light indicator. anytime I get defensive about anything that I see, anything I'm told, anything I hear, you know what? That is a great gift, because that is an immediate signal that I don't really feel like I'm pretending to, right? My wife comes and says, Greg, you've really been not yourself lately. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean I'm not myself? You know, I do these things, I do those things. I guess that's not good enough, or no. What am I arguing for? I'm arguing that you're wrong. I do feel worthy and I am engaged. If I really felt that way, I wouldn't need to argue for it. You know? So I'm just for today, I'm letting go of the need to justify my lies about how I really feel and what the reflections really are, and acknowledge that those reflections are my journey and they are my ticket to a life where I'm free, fully present, and completely alive. What will happen? There's a part of me that knows that I will manifest my desire, because I've had a strikeout desire and grown it into a home run desire. This is the first time I've done it so publicly and chronicled it so thoroughly. It's exciting to me to get to share it with you and eventually with everyone. So that's where I am right now. I am at worry and nervousness regarding my desire to manifest a six-figure net personal take-home business. And I can share all about, how I feel and the reflections I've been experiencing and am experiencing. But maybe it would be more interesting to take this in a certain direction. What sort of things come to mind? What sort of questions have you heard from the group? What sort of things would be most beneficial?
Well, I'm really not stuck, but I'm really focused here on what you just shared about our desires being about finding ourselves worthy.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to sit with that for a while. I mean, I've got to take that in. I recognize that as truth.
Mm-hmm.
You expressed it enough to make me want to sit and reflect on that. I understand. I see what you're saying, and I'm thinking about those. A lot of the people that I've talked to struggle with self-worth, and so now I'm trying to pull that together. What if your strikeout desire is self-worth? Then, man, what a great journey this is. But to realize that no matter what the strikeout desire is that you're working on, by the time that you have climbed through all of the emotional perspectives there, you're going to feel really worthy. And that's just a beautiful thing. And I've been sharing that with the group, that that as if you're focused on financials, getting out of debt and being abundant, paying the bills, getting rid of the struggle, if that is your strikeout desire, as you go through this process, you do start feeling more worthy. I mean, that's what has happened to me. Whereas when I first started, it wasn't there. But your confidence starts building, your worthiness starts building without you really understanding that that's going on behind the scenes, kind of, or parallel with what you're working on. That's an amazing thing to me. And so I've assured, as much as I can, assured people that you're going to see this happen, even though that's not your focus. it's going to happen. And so with you saying that, to what you've shared today about your insights about, the goal is not the thing. The goal is to be worthy, to become worthy. It makes me think of what you've shared about, how do you say, you'll see it when you believe it. Your little booklet that you gave away.
Right.
The 7 words. Yeah. It makes me think about that, how that ties into that. So anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but you got my wheels turning here.
Can I add something to that? The desire,
Yes.
the thing, or the desire itself, it's awesome. It is a blast. It is fun. It is to be cherished, and there's a reason why we want it. Because it is all of those things. What I would say, the insight that what we actually desire is the worthiness. What I would propose is that that's a great way, because one of the things that I've heard over and over again is people say, hey, I'm at the top of the chart. I'm still looking for my desire. I'm still looking. Where is it? And I definitely have some feedback for that. What I'll say is this one, and then this is sort of a more global feedback. It's not the thing itself. It's that we desire. It's the worthiness of that thing itself. My hope, because this is how it has manifested itself in my perceptions, in my universe, that takes all the pressure off of looking for it, right? I mean, will I see it? Yeah. And I'll perceive it much more readily when I'm not straining my eyes. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I mean, we inherently know that when we're in the mode of where is it? I don't have it. We're not in full cooperation with producing a reflection, right? It's sort of, it reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if you'll recall, or our viewers and listeners will recall those magic eye visual illusions, I guess. You see a flat 2-dimensional surface, and when you look at it, if you relax your eyes and focus past it, all of a sudden this 3-dimensional image appears, and it's so real. You can even turn it. You can turn the paper and you can see different angles. But I can remember times, and I love those magic eye, because it's so cool to just let go. Yet to see it, you have to let go. Because there have been so many times where I would sit there and stare and stare and stare and say, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I want to see it. I'm trying so hard, right? It's hard to perceive when we're trying so hard and so focused on it's not there, and getting more frustrated. Where is it? It's not there. It's still not there. It is. It's right there. It's right there. Well, if we can remember, even from the beginning of this process, let alone, the top of the emotional reference chart, that it's the worthiness that we desire. Once I have the worthiness, let go, because this is what I really wanted, and then the reflection is just right there. Oh, there it is. Yeah, of course. So in no way, shape, or form am I poo-pooing the magic of manifesting that really cool thing that's bedeviled us for so long. That's awesome. But I just want to go back and say, as awesome as that is, manifesting that wasn't the journey. Manifesting that was merely a reflection. And as a matter of fact, think about it this way too. You've been manifesting a reflection of that desire every single day, your whole life. You've just been manifesting a reflection of that desire in ways that didn't please you, that were painful to you because of the beliefs. So when we manifest the aligned, the belief aligned desire, where we say, yes, here it is, we're not actually doing anything new. We're not actually doing anything we haven't already been doing our whole lives. We've just changed the source of the reflection. That's all we've done. Now, that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing that many people unfortunately, go through their whole lives and never know to do. But changing the source of the reflection changes the reflection, period. The only way that we can prevent ourselves from seeing that changed reflection is to put a lot of pressure on ourselves, to focus on the outcome, and you know what else? Here's the thing. When I focus on, hey, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling love, I'm feeling joy, where is it? It ought to be here. It ought to be here right now. You know what? I'm not being honest about how I feel, right? That's a form of defensiveness. I mean, think about that. I'm getting defensive. Wait a minute. I do feel love. I do feel joy. Damn it. Where's that reflection? Well, it's understandable why I would go there sometimes. But now that you can look for defensiveness when you're nearing the top of the reference chart, when you're at the top of the reference chart, it's okay. In fact, there's no other way that I would recommend you live except being honest, right? And to say, I'm at the top of the chart, and it really pisses me off that I don't perceive, that I'm not seeing the reflection that I had hoped for when I got here. That puts us right into the solution, because we can go back, if we want to, we can write about that, right? How do I feel that I don't perceive that reflection? It puts us into the solution. And once we're honest, see, here's the trick. And this is what I could never get my hands around my whole adult life until I started to play this game. Once I get honest about how I feel in this moment, the reflection that I experience becomes a gift. It becomes a gift. Even the displeasing reflections become a gift because they have so much to teach me. And until I learn what that reflection has to teach me about me, right? About my beliefs, about who I believe I am and what I believe I'm worthy of, I will never grow past that perspective and past those beliefs. It's allowing myself to learn and embrace the joy of exactly where I am now. Because I promise you, even writing from perspectives like anxiety, with that new perspective, I began to see incredible gifts in things that from a previous perspective I couldn't see as gifts. I began to perceive things that from a previous perspective were ordinary, innocuous, commonplace, unspectacular, began to have meaning and value for me, that were teaching me, that were giving me insight, that were sharing wisdom that I was learning from. You know, it's funny. I'll give you an example. Something as simple. I went to go speak at a middle school yesterday, and I signed in on the computer, and there's a little camera at the top for security reasons. And I typed my name and hit enter, and my name tag spit out, and it had my name on it, and it had a photo of another man. I guess the guy who had come through before me. I don't know, right? And I looked at it and I laughed, and I showed it to. There was a counselor standing there and a student behind the counter, and I held it up to them and I said, "Hey, is this what I look like?" And they laughed and they said, "No, that was somebody who checked in before." And I said, "Well, I'm just checking because I'm not saying that guy's not a nice looking guy, but that's not what I see when I look in the mirror. I just want to make sure I don't need a new mirror." They said, "No, that's not what you look like. You look like you." Okay, great. Well, okay, so it was simply a name tag with a slight malfunction that printed out somebody else's photo. So what, right? Well, as I left the school, because I was making a decision to be honest and feel how I felt and not run away from it and not dampen it, deny it, change it, just feel it, I was alive in the moment. And you know what that name badge became for me? A teacher. You know what it taught me? I looked at it and I said, you know what this is teaching me? This is teaching me that there's a double-edged sword to truth and perception. This name badge has someone else's photo and my picture on it. Wait, my name on it. Someone else's photo and my name on it, right? If I were to drop this name badge and somebody who didn't know me at all picked it up and for some reason they cared about it and really examined it, they would say, look, there's Greg Kuhn. That's Greg Kuhn. That's what Greg Kuhn looks like. And you know what? In their universe, guess what? That's Greg Kuhn. And that's what Greg Kuhn looks like. Now, does it matter at all that that's not what Greg Kuhn really looks like? Absolutely not. In their universe, that would be Greg Kuhn. It's not the quote unquote truth, right? But that doesn't matter. In their universe, that photo would be Greg Kuhn. And vice versa, right? If somebody decided that they wanted, in other words, my beliefs create the truth in my universe, and that has no bearing upon what the truth could be. The only way to change the truth in my universe is to change the source of that truth, is to change the beliefs. That was really cool. And that name tag taught me that. Well, is that a really big deal? I don't know, but I know this. I felt a lot of gratitude for being alive in the moment to learn that and to receive that gift. Did it make my unpleasant feelings go away? No. Did it make me not want to change those unpleasant feelings or not feel them anymore? No, it didn't. I still didn't want to feel my feelings, but I was able to appreciate where I was and the gifts that were waiting for me right where I was. And even though I didn't like the feelings and the reflections and the perspective that they gave me, I didn't have to shut myself down and pretend they weren't there. Mm-hmm. So potential remained open, possibility remained open, and I remained open to seeing the reflection that was really there, right? And not pretending like it was different. So that, how cool that we don't have to wait until we get to the top of the chart. And when we get to the top of the chart, we also don't have to put a lot of pressure on ourselves to create a reflection.
That's exciting. I'm thinking about the questions that have come up. Mm-hmm. If that's okay with you. Sure. I don't mean to jump all over the place, but no, of course there's a lot of thoughts going through my head. Being authentic, that comes up a lot, mainly because we have been most of us for a number of years have been students of and have practiced and done everything we can, like you talk about in your book, we've got the affirmations, we think positive thoughts and we shove the negative ones away. And it's a little, and then as you're teaching in the book about the shift from the Neanderthal paradigm to quantum physics, man, it's amazing how many times that Neanderthal paradigm just jumps up and you go, wow. I mean, in so many conversations, in so many of our discussions on the call, it's very present, fully alive, and that's probably one of the most. It's interesting, but how. I guess it's an individual thing to be able to let go of that and to the shift to the new paradigm. But it's a really, really tough thing because of our upbringing, because of our program, the culture that we've lived in. It goes against that, and so that's one of the tough things to grasp and to understand and to be aware of. Bless you. Was that a sneeze?
It was a cough. Sorry, I thought I covered the microphone.
Cough. Yeah, no. Every little note is it.
My wife just walked.
I just know the beautiful Sean was up while
Sean,
talking.
that's right. I think I feel really moved right now to say something really important, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah.
I am smiling. I feel radiant. I feel full of energy. I feel beautiful in this moment. I feel full of value. I feel that I have gifts. I feel that I possess, I channel information that is needed and beneficial. And I suspect that my countenance reflects that. And I also want to say for everybody listening and watching that I feel nervous and worried about my desire for my business. That it really is how I feel right now. And I have at least a low level feeling all day long of wanting to escape those unpleasant feelings, of wanting to change them, of wanting to deny them, of wanting to pretend that I feel differently. Does that work? No, it does not, but I'm very familiar with it. It's, in other words, I want people to know I'm in the middle of this process. I am an active practitioner. Don't mistake my comfort level with I feel great about my desire. I don't. But what I will say is this. As unpleasant as my feelings about it are, I can't deny and don't wish to deny that I feel fully alive right now. And because I'm being honest about how I feel. And by being honest about how I feel, you mentioned the Neanderthal paradigms, and it is so true. We have been students of personal development, and personal development has taught us that people who are positive and people who are worthy experience these types of desired manifestations and material, aspects of material reality, and that's true, right? Yet the Neanderthal paradigm has led us to believe that manufacturing a put on, sort of a perversion of fake it till you make it. I'm going to pretend like I feel worthy by repeating things that people who do feel worthy think and say. Well, that's like walking into our mother or father's closet and trying on a pair of their shoes and walking around the house and saying, "Hey, I'm daddy." It's a fun game. And when we're a child, it feels real for a moment, but we never were really daddy, right? And the shoes never really fit us. We were playing pretend. And the Neanderthal paradigm encourages us to do that by putting on daddy's shoes or mommy's shoes. Uh, I usually put on daddy's shoes, but I'm not knocking anybody who, switched a shoe. That's, but really the Neanderthal paradigms encourage us to do the exact same thing that I did as a child. The Neanderthal paradigms say, Greg, if you desire this thing or this experience, go get a book or listen to a CD or watch a video and learn from somebody who's done it and do exactly what they did, because it's the actions that are important. And one of those things probably is, say positive, uplifting things. Well, the person who has manifested and is reflecting that material experience we desire, that person is teaching us positive affirmations that she really believes, right? When we start to repeat them without the beliefs, all we're doing is putting on daddy's wingtips and pretending like we just came home from work. It's kind of fun. And in fact, it's kind of exciting to think, wow, I could be a daddy someday. That's pretty cool, right? And I'm not making fun of anyone. I've done that thing my entire life. The Neanderthal paradigms say, you know what? Forget about copying people's actions. In fact, one of the things that I was writing the very first day was to say, Neanderthal paradigms would say, wow, gee, I desire a six-figure, net personal take-home business. So what I need to do is to go back to college and get an MBA, or get a mentor, or join a networking group, or get a book series or a CD series, or on and on and on. I need to find somebody whose actions I can copy and achieve or create or manifest this desire to bring it into fruition. You know what? That's the Neanderthal paradigm, right? Here's the way the quantum paradigm works. When we play a Grow a Greater You, when we immerse ourselves in this process, and the deeper we go with our honesty, the more courageous we can be with our honesty, what we find out is that whatever our current reflection is, whatever it is, I mean, first of all, no matter how painful it is, it's what we're experiencing every day anyway. So it's not like we suddenly create some pain, right? Well, the other thing is that reflection has invaluable things to teach us. And every step, every slight step of the way up the emotional reference chart, our reflections will teach us everything we need to know. Don't worry about how impossible it seems. Don't worry about how you've never been able to balance your checkbook. Don't worry about how you have no imagination for making a business work. Don't worry about how you feel like a child amongst adults anytime someone starts talking about being self-employed and being successful. By the way, I'm revealing my fears, okay? When I'm sharing those things. But because while those fears are real, and by the way, when I'm at worry, I don't want to say don't worry, right? I'm talking about moving ourselves through the process. Don't project into the future, because every reflection, every emotional perspective, the reflection has a vast array of things to teach us about ourselves. It has a wealth of inspiration, knowledge, wisdom, insight, motivation, energy, ideas, and the iterations of those things will be reflective of that perspective. But I'm reminded once again, going through this process right now, that yes, the reflections from worry and nervousness are not anything close to the reflections I ultimately desire, but they are so much more uplifting enlightening, energizing than the perspectives or the reflections I was experiencing 4 days ago. It's night and day. And the more I allow myself to be honest, and not shy away from it, doesn't mean beat myself up. It just means don't try to change how I feel, you know? Don't turn on the radio just so I don't have to, quote unquote, think. Don't be sarcastic as a way to not feel my feelings. Don't, go drink 6 beers as a way to escape from how I feel. Simply saying, I'm here. This is okay. I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to allow these reflections to teach me. I'm going to pay attention to what they have to teach me. I'm going to have gratitude for what they have to teach me. I'm not pleased by the feelings. I can still be grateful for what they have to teach me. And if I allow myself to be taught in that manner, if I just feel how I feel, then guess what? My beliefs really do change. I mean, my emotional perspective really does change. And even somebody who's at the top of the chart and is experiencing frustration and saying, where is it? Where is it? Yes, of course. I hope and I would expect that the tip to say, allow yourself to feel worthy of it because that's what you really wanted and take some of the pressure off the thing itself. Well, another great tip is keep drilling down into honesty. Because no matter how discouraging or uncomfortable your real feelings are in any given moment, those reflections have something to teach you. Always something to teach you. And if I'm going to continue to spend my life being presumptuous and saying, wait a minute, only joy and love have something to teach me. You know what? All these other perspectives, they're just hurdles I have to clear to get up to where I need to be, right? That's cheating ourselves. The gifts are in every step. The gifts are right here. What we have to learn is right here, even if it's not love and joy. And what we have to learn is it really is beautiful, even when it's painful. And it's really, really important, even when it's painful. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm excited. It's so exciting to know that people are taking this journey, and aligning themselves.
It is. Yeah. Hey, Greg, we got, here's a question. Maybe you can see them too. As one proceeds through the varying methods within Grow a Greater You, how do you recommend that a student deflect other sources of mind education without offending others?
I assume that somebody means, hey, let me tell you, the way I think it ought to be, or let me tell you how you ought to think or how you ought to process and that sort of thing. What I would say, that's perhaps a perfect illustration of looking for defensiveness, right? I mean, if somebody's telling me, well, Greg, you just got to think positive, and I get mad, why am I here? Why do I have to listen to this BS? This is really irritating. Or maybe I argue back. Wait a minute, that's defensiveness, right? And it's okay for someone else to believe whatever they choose to believe. The only reason I would argue would be because I wanted to convince myself, okay? There's no reason for me to try to convince Trisha because Trisha's beliefs are Trisha's beliefs. Now, if your beliefs make you somebody who might not be a good person to be around for me, I can put some, boundaries between us. But the only reason I would make it my business to correct you is because I want to convince myself. And if I want to convince myself, that's a pretty good indicator that I'm lying to myself about how I really feel. And lying to myself about how I really feel prevents me from fully embracing this journey, from fully, being taught and enjoying the gifts that this journey has to offer. Taking this journey is not about brainwashing ourselves, right? Like, I remember when I was a child, and used to go to the pool, and I always, I wanted to dive into the water and swim across the not the length, but the width of the pool without coming up for air. And the very first time I ever did it, I mean, I was like, gasping for air, but by God, I wasn't coming up, right? And no matter what, I was, so like the last 2 feet, it was a mad panic. But by gosh, I wasn't coming up until I touched that wall. Well, that's not a good way. That's not the most beneficial way to play Grow Greater You, because of course, I think going through, my experience would say, going through the emotional reference chart in the manner that we do it that way is still better than not doing it at all. But going through it that way is still very much hearkening to the Neanderthal paradigm of, well, all this other garbage is just stuff I got to get through to get up here to joy and love, because I know joy and love is where my desire awaits manifestation. And there's some truth to that. No one's silly for thinking that, right? But keeping that focus that's a great way to cheat ourselves out of authentically moving into that belief that where we become worthy of our desire. But also, wow, it's like coming down on Christmas morning when we were a child, and walking past 20 gifts to go right to our bike and saying, okay, this is all I want, got my bike, you can give the rest of it away. Well, hold on a second. You had all kinds of cool stuff over there. The bike's there. Don't worry. Don't worry. The bike's not going anywhere. In fact, the bike's always been there. It's never going to go away. Help yourself to what's in front of you right now. The lessons, the insight, the wisdom, the energy, the inspiration, the motivation, the possibilities, the potential, the way, the meaning and value of things change. And with each new emotional perspective, as the meaning and value of things change, the things change. Things that the things that I've looked at every day, a woman who walks her dog every morning at 6 a.m. as I leave my driveway, who I every day I say, oh yeah, there's that woman. And I might not have negative, bad thoughts. I might not think, screw her or whatever. I might think, hey, I hope you have a nice day, and move on. But as I move up the chart and move myself into new emotional perspectives and really live there and be fully alive in that perspective, I see that woman and I say, wow, all of a sudden she becomes a different thing to me in my universe. It's like, remember that ID badge with the wrong photo on it. I've been looking at all these things and saying, here's their meaning and value. This is the way they are, right? It doesn't matter what they could be. It doesn't matter what they are to anyone else, right? I've got an uncle who's an entrepreneur. He's built and sold 4 different companies. He's worth millions and millions of dollars. He looks at the world and he sees all these opportunities that intimidates, and that perspective, imagining that I have to have that ability, it intimidates me so much. I feel so unworthy of that. I say I could never be worthy of that. I could never experience that. Well, of course I say that, but that really is what I say. Well, he looks at something and I look at something, but we don't create the same 2 things in each of our universes. I see something and say, look at that. I'm glad to be done with that. He sees the same exact thing, and it holds completely different meaning. In his universe, it inspires him. In his universe, it's an idea. In his universe, it's an opportunity. And that it has nothing to do with him being smarter, more, more intelligent, better trained. I mean, all those things are true. He is smarter than me. I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm sure. But we all know that being smart is it's great, but is that really what's important in life? Of course not. What's important in life is showing up. You know that old saying, 90% of it is just showing up? And I always thought, that's kind of lazy. 90% is showing up. You mean I just show up to work and sit here? That's 90. No, 90% of it, what that saying means is 90% of it is being fully alive and present in this moment. That's showing up, right? If I'm fully alive and present in this moment and open to growing through my honesty, I don't need to worry about how intelligent I am. I don't need to worry about how much experience I have. I don't need to worry about how much training or schooling. And I know, hey, we all, when we try to envision the universe from the top of the chart, of course we imagine that we'd have to have those things. And I don't have those things. So how can I ever have my desire? We're going to be taught everything that we need to know, every perspective we need to have, every insight we need to possess, every motivation we need. Will I one day, do some of those things that I suggested? Will I one day seek out a networking group or go back to school or buy a CD program or hire a mentor or seek out will I do? Well, you know what? I might. If I ever do any of those things, it will be because I know that's the next right thing to do. I've been taught by my reflection, inspired by my reflection, motivated by my reflection. If any of those things become part of my journey to being worthy, and they very well might, it will be a natural outflow. It will be a natural response to exactly where I am and the reflections that I'm enjoying. So, when we get those influences, when people are saying, or we hear something on the radio, or our coworkers, telling us this, well, this is the way you got to think. My feedback is pay attention to that defensiveness and get honest with yourself. The minute you get honest with yourself, you've probably experienced that, Tricia. I know many people listening and watching have experienced it. The minute I get honest with myself, all of a sudden, honestly, I don't even care what somebody else thinks. What difference does it make? As long as I'm honest with myself, So that defensiveness, great thing to pay attention to.
I agree. Powerful thing to teach us today, Greg. Man, I've got pages and pages of notes. I'm excited. I'm excited I'm excited for your book that will eventually come out about this process that you're going through, because you're chronicling everything that's happening to you. I find that fascinating and very exciting. I wonder how you already know that this works.
Yeah.
That's got to be an incredible motivation. And what is it? I think that for you too, you're being, to be honest and authentic and to write, to take these steps. But I know this happens if it's the first time you're doing it, or like Greg's, now he's onto something big. You get a glimpse of something good. And you're all of a sudden, now you're up to optimism, when you were just down here with anxiety, and something really good happens. And now, and that that has come up on our calls that, you know,
Yes.
wow, I just jumped up to optimism, and it's like, no, you know, I'd like you to address that, just, you know, and then you do in your book, of course you do, but let's just, you know, bring that out today on the call.
Yeah, that's great. It's true. Listening to me, the reason why I felt so motivated to be honest about how I'm feeling right now, because watching me and listening to me, one might say, "Wow, look at that guy. He's so full of confidence. He's so sure of the process. He knows that it works." So he's not experiencing the same doubts and fears and pains and misgivings and questions and uncertainty that I am. And there is some truth to that. I'm sure there's some truth to that. I do have a confidence in this process. Yet, uh, here's what I would say. Have you ever uh, experienced, and I'm sure we all have, you know, one of the ways that we respond to that desire is we tell ourselves, shame on me. You know, I have it so good. Why am I complaining? You know, what I have today is wow, it's more than what I originally dreamed, or I can't believe, you know, I should cultivate gratitude instead of focusing on what I don't have. And all those things are great messages. There's nothing wrong or dishonest about any of those messages. We can't deny, though, that human need, if you will, to 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 be worthy, to feel worthy, to and to experience that worth. Well, there are times where, you know, yes, am I espousing a confidence? Am I espousing an optimism? Well, what I would say is this: if you or anyone feels optimistic about the process, if you feel optimistic that, wow, because I'm guessing if you're like me, you're using this process on primarily on things that I've never felt that I could really do. All I could do was kind of, you know, spout off at the mouth sometimes about how I'm going to do it, and or, you know, false bravado or positive affirmations or confidence, but I never really believed that I could do it. And now I'm in this process, and I'm starting to see that this process does work. That if I just for today, if I keep writing, keep living, keep paying attention, keep letting the reflections teach me, you know what? Eventually, I'm going to get to a place where my reflections are teaching me the things that I've wanted for so long. And do I feel optimistic about that? Yes, I do. That's different than feeling optimistic about the desire itself, you know. So it's I'll liken it to this. um, i my beliefs are aligned with some desires that 99% of all the authors that I've ever talked to would cut off their left foot to experience. And I don't say this, I hope people understand, I'm not saying this as a cockiness or braggadocio or haha, you know, I'm so much better than anyone. I feel like I have to put those caveats out there because there are people in pain, and when they hear someone share about such success in an area where their desire is absent and so painful, yeah, you're going to get pretty pissed off at me. So in other words, I'm giving you permission to say, if you feel pissed off about me saying that, I mean, I write a book, I publish it, and I don't do anything else. And it sells and sells and sells and sells, and people love it. And I do not in any way, shape, or form. You know how I feel. Anytime people compliment me, I say, thank you for creating that version of me. You did that. You know, I didn't arrive here as like the greatest guy in the world, just waiting for you to discover. You created this version of me. You created the version of the book. You did that. And I always tell my wife, don't worry about me getting a big head or getting egotistical, because the minute that I don't say, you know what, thank you. I mean, I love the praise, but thank you, because you made the decision. You created this version of me. I didn't do it for you. You did it. So thank you. The minute I don't do that is the minute I'm not playing Grow Greater You anymore, because I know that's how the universe operates. What I am excited about is growing my own beliefs about my own value, my own worth, to even greater lengths. But I can, I don't want to, I don't, I've been trying to decide if I should publish a specific dollar amount uh, that I made on book sales, just book sales last year. I don't know if that's appropriate or not. And it's not, well, maybe it is a fear-based decision that I'm going through. I don't know. Um, I do know this: if it seems like the right thing to do from this current perspective it doesn't feel like the right thing to do. I'm open to that changing, but I will say this: um, I made an incredible amount of money, not what my ultimate desire is, just on book sales alone. And so somebody could say, well, of course you feel it. Of course you know you can do this. You know, with an experience like that, I mean, come on, that's not even fair. That's not fair. That's like saying Barack Obama, when he, you know, when his second term is over, and he says, "I want to become president of the UN," and everyone's like, "Well, of course you know you can do that. That's not the same as me saying I want to become the manager at the place where I work." But what I would say is, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Anything that I'm not currently experiencing is something I don't believe I'm worthy of. It doesn't matter what I've believed I've been worthy of my whole life. That has no bearing. I mean, think about this, Tricia. Every single person on this call or watching this video has been experiencing a reflection of their beliefs that is immensely pleasing in so many areas of their lives, their entire life. You know, if I were to say to someone, how could you not know that you can do this when you've been experiencing a reflection of your heart and your hearing and your breathing and the animals and the birds and the flowers and springtime and bike rides and amusement parks and your son's first smile, and you've been experiencing all these beautiful, super pleasing reflections that tell you thing and one thing only, and that is your beliefs are aligned almost to perfection with all those things. How could you not know that you can do these other things? It's not fair. It's the same thing in principle. It doesn't matter what my beliefs have been aligned with in the past. It has no bearing on what my beliefs are not aligned with now. Whatever my beliefs aren't aligned with now, it's just as frightening, it's just as intimidating, it's just as unnerving. It becomes just as much a monster in the closet as anything else I've ever not been aligned with. Luckily for us, no matter what that desire that I'm willing to acknowledge is, the solution to it remains the same: grow my beliefs. And the methodology for that is very simple. Be honest, show up, be fully present in this day, be fully alive, feel how I feel, pay attention to those reflections, learn what they have to teach me. Simply be open to what they have to teach me. Pay attention, listen, be aware, watch, don't shy away. Don't go into my basement, shut the door, turn on the TV, and isolate myself from anything that might require me to be fully alive and present. Don't go change how I feel. Don't stuff how I feel. Don't deny how I feel. Just be here. Now, that scares the hell out of you, right? It scares the hell out of me. I mean, but here's the thing. A, we only have to do it today. Don't have to do it for the rest of my life. And B, the minute I go there, here's what I've noticed. The minute that I went there with my desire, the minute, even though I started, down at fear, by being fully present, I was immediately alive. And that, in and of itself, is a gift I have been seeking, you know? Is that the gift? Is that enough? Yes, it is. And no, it's not, you know? Uh, is it joyful? Yes. All the ways that I wanted to pretend to feel alive, all the ways that I wanted to feel alive by deadening my feelings, you know? I mean, it's so much nicer to do it authentically. It's so much more joyful. There's so much more value. And the reflections improve from day one. One of the antidotes to how terrifying it can be to feel how I feel is to remember that the slightest movement up the emotional reference chart creates a slightly more aligned reflection, of my beliefs from the universe. So right from the start, there's enlightenment and improvements and energy, inspiration, and gifts. Yes, gifts. We fool ourselves when we think the gift is waiting for me at the end. The gift is the end zone. The gift is this step. What I have to learn is right now. The most important thing I'll ever learn is right now. Now, there's going to be hopefully a right now in a few moments, and then that'll be the most important thing that I have to learn, And that's pretty cool.
Oh, wow, Greg. Look at, we've been going an hour and a half. Is that not amazing?
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's a lot.
We should probably, we're testing everybody's patience and goodwill. We should probably come back together in a while and do this again whenever it makes sense and feels right. I hope that there's value here. That's my intent. And anyone who creates value, who decides that this will be valuable in their universe, in your universe, that's a gift you're giving me. Thank you for doing that, however much you're willing to do it.
Oh, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do a lot more of it. Just from what we have experienced with this group of we call it a family. We're so excited about it and so supportive of one another, which is a really cool thing to witness, to experience. That we can be transparent and authentic and discuss things with each other on the call. It's a safe zone, and so the energy is great, and yes, there's that passion and that hope and that positivity, that kind of feeling that from learning this and taking the turn here and going in a new way with learning how to change our beliefs. So yes, we will come back again and again. Thank you for being so gracious to give us your time and to allow us to pick your brain and just to give us this time to get a little bit more meat, as we're going through the process. I know that is helping everyone. So yeah, we'll schedule another one. We'll give this a little time, give the game a little time, and I'm sure. So thank you, Greg, for all that you shared today, and we hold you. We hold you in that energy of expectation of what is coming for you. What is, as you have shared, that you're going through this again, and we're excited for you as well, and look forward to all that is yet to come.
It's all yours.
Really excited.
It's all going to be anybody who wants it. It's going to be yours, because that's just, it's just the way that it needs to be. And so anyone who's willing to go there with me, thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you for being here, and we'll have this, you can watch this over and over again if you're listening to it after the record, you're listening to the recording. I'm glad that you took time to do that as well. We will keep it posted. We'll keep it available for everyone. And I know there's a lot of people that will benefit from this that we're not even thinking of right now, but it'll be out there. If you're interested in joining us on the morning call, if I had the number memorized, I'd give it to you. But you can find me on Facebook, Trisha J. Barnes, and I post about. That's probably the easiest way for you to get the details, since I don't have them memorized. And we do that every morning at 10 Eastern, and we are in deep with Grow a Greater You, and we would love to have you there with us and add to the discussion and bring your energy to that call. So, Greg, let's get going. Thank you for this time and for all that you shared. I have a lot of notes.
Me too.
That I treasure.
Me too.
Yeah. So, all right. We will see you on the next Hangout. Okay?
Great. Take care.
All right. Bye, Greg.
Bye-bye.